Good morning. Welcome to God's Army Ministries. Today is kind of a continuation of being forged in the fire. So the topic is, will God give you more than you can handle? And the answer is absolutely not. God will not give you more than you can handle. He will not. Recently, I've seen pastors. I saw a sermon not that long ago where the pastor was saying, and there are people that say that God will never give you more than you can handle, and that's absolutely not true. He gives you more than you can handle all the time. He's always going to give you more than you can handle. And then you're going to have to call upon the name of the Lord to get you through whatever you're going through. Well, okay. Here's the thing. That has some truth to it. But if you have something that's 99% true and 1% lie, what do you have? You got a lie. You got yourself a lie. This is the 2/3 rule. This is what Satan loves to use. The 2/3 or the 1/3 rule, where a lot of people in media and that are working for the beast system, they like to give you 2/3 truth and a third lie. And the truth is to keep you deceived into believing it, because everyone in their spirit has ears to hear the truth. You know when you're hearing the truth. So what they do is they add a little bit of truth in with the lies to deceive you. Now, that statement, the one thing that's true about that statement is when you're going through something and it gets a little bit too much, right? You call upon the Lord. But here's the thing. Okay, that's a given. If we're talking about Christians, we're not going through anything alone. If you're a true spirit-filled born-again Christian, you're not going through anything alone without the Lord. You are going to be calling on the Lord all the time, asking the Lord to give you strength constantly. For instance, take Job. Job was a man of God, right? Was it more than he could handle? No. It was a lot. It was more than I can handle. But was it more than he could handle? No, it wasn't, because God knows your heart, and he knew Job's heart. He knew what he could handle. And did he stretch him to his limits? Yeah. Will God stretch you to your limits? Yeah. But see, a Christian, we're always going to be faithful to God if we're a true Christian. And he's not going to give you more than it's going to feel like it's more than you can handle. And there's been times with me where I've been stretched, and even, like we've all been there, where maybe you're sick, especially in this day and age with all this crap going around. Like maybe you've gotten sick, and maybe you felt like, man, I don't know if I can handle any more of this. I don't know if I can take it. I think I've hit my limit. And you cry out to God and say, Lord, this is about as much as I can take. I need you to step in now. And I need you to do something. Either take me home, either relieve some of this pain, or take me home now, We've all been there. But listen, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. It may seem like it, but through faith and through his strength, you'll get through it, right? Philippians, through Christ, right? All things are possible through Christ who strengthens me. Okay? It doesn't say God's going to give me more than I can handle, and then I'm going to call on God to do it for me. That's not what the scripture says. The scripture says that all things are possible, that we can get through anything. We can get through any temptation. We can get through any trial or tribulation. And we can do anything. And anything is possible through Christ, who gives us strength. He is our strength. He's the one that strengthens us. And every Christian knows this. So for a pastor to say, hey, God's always going to give you more than you can handle, and then bash people who say that God won't give you more than you can handle, like people like me, that's not right. That's a false doctrine. And I'm going to give you some scripture. I brought my Bible today, so we'll do a short Bible study in the old 1998 Chevy pickup, okay? I'm just going to give you I'm going to give you one scripture, and then I'm going to give you one of Jesus's parables, just to prove this, okay? So we're going to go to 1 Corinthians 10:13, chapter 10, verse 13, which says, there hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above what you are able, but will with temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. So that's the King James. I even wrote down I think it's NIV. This is a little bit more plain English, easier to understand. And it says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. That's the same thing as saying he's not going to give you more than you can handle. I'm going to repeat that. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. I mean, that's pretty much the only scripture I need. But I will give you one more. I will give you a few more from the parable of the talents. So let's just examine this. If you know the character of God, then you know he's not going to give you more than you can handle. If you give someone more than they can handle, you're setting them up for failure. Tell me any decent, loving father that's going to give their kid more than they can handle. Are you going to tell your 7-year-old little girl, is a father going to tell his 7-year-old little girl, hey, go climb Mount Everest in the wintertime with no ropes? Would he do that? No. How about, father going to the gym with his 12-year-old boy and says, hey son, go over there and bench 500 pounds. Is the father going to do that? No. Why? Because the kid can't do it. And you know the kid can't do it. And you're only setting that child up for failure. Not to mention, you're putting that child in danger, possibly death. Does that sound like the character of God? Does that sound like something God would do? Put his children in danger? Break their confidence? No. God doesn't set us up for failure. He sets us up for success. He's not going to do that. That's not the character of God. That's not the character of God. He will stretch you to your limits, but just like the scripture says, we can overcome. He's not going to give us a temptation or a test or a trial that's beyond what we can handle. Now, do some people fail their tests? Yeah. Like Judas Iscariot. He failed his test. King Saul, he failed his test. But that was their free will. They failed the test. God doesn't give you a test that you are unable to pass. You can ace every test he gives you. But if we're lazy, if we separate ourselves from him, and how do we separate ourselves from God? Sin. Sin is what separates us from God. So if we're sinful, it's going to be real hard to pass tests if we got open doors, because we're going to when you open the door to sin, you're going to allow yourself to you're going to give yourself more than you can handle. But that's not God giving you more than you can handle. That's your fault. You open that door to sin, and now your trial, now your hardship has been compounded. But through his grace and his mercy, he usually will get you through that too, even though it's your own fault. God will not give you more than you can handle. It's right there, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Read it for yourself. I'm going to give you one more scripture here. And listen, if a pastor's telling people God's always going to give you more than you can handle, how are Christians going to take that? Well, wait, he's always going to give me more than I can handle? What about brand new baby Christians that are struggling already? What about Christians who are struggling with whatever they're going through? What about somebody who's not saved, who's not born again, but God's been pulling them, God's been drawing them close to him, and they're on the fence, and they're like, man, you know what? I think I want to give my life to the Lord. And then they hear a pastor say, God's going to give you more than you can handle. He's always going to give you more than you can handle. That person's going to be like, oh man, well, that doesn't sound right. So real quickly, it's going to be Matthew 25. It's going to be Matthew 25, and it is the parable of the talents. And it says right here, so Matthew 25, we'll go to verse 14. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. To every man according to his several ability. Okay, so why did he give one of the servants only 1 talent? Because that's all he could handle. Why didn't he give him 5? That's all he could handle. Why did he give 1 2? Why didn't he give him 3? Because 2 was all he could handle. Why did he give the servant 5 talents and not 10 talents? Because it was more than he can handle. Because it says right here, he gives to man according to their ability. To every man according to his ability. He knows what you're capable of. He knows your ability. So he's not going to give you more. He's not going to give you beyond what you're capable of doing. Which means he's not going to give you more than you can handle. He's not going to set you up to fail. He set all 3 of these servants up for success. And 2 of them were successful, and 2 of them multiplied their talents, but 1 of them failed the test. And he didn't make it. But he could have. He only had 1 talent. God already knew this guy's struggling, and this guy, man, he can only handle 1. So he only gave him 1. He couldn't handle it. So this is just more proof, y'all, that don't let anybody tell you that God will give you more than you can handle, because he will not. He is a faithful and loving God. He's not a cruel God that's going to set you up for failure and go, ha ha, see, you couldn't do it. No, he's not going to do that. He's a loving, faithful God. And he is with you. And through his strength, you will get through whatever you are going through. I promise you. He loves you. He loves you. All right. Time to start the day. God's Army Ministries. Love y'all. Be blessed.